do something else.
Okay.
Well, how was work?
It was good. Did really nothing all day. Much of nothing anyway. Back on the wagon.
Hello, and welcome back to another edition of our Talk It Out session, Season 2.
I'm sorry, Season 2!
Season 2. We back in this thing.
Okay.
We are your hosts, Aaron Tate, Adrian Poe. Let's say hello to our future selves. So if you have caught videos from Season 1, then you know what we like to do is we like to pick a specific topic, particularly one that is controversial, and we like to discuss it. We come up with different talking points to bring up throughout the discussion, but we also like to get involved with you guys as well. So if you are tuning in, please feel free to comment and ask any questions you would like for us to answer. But today's lovely topic is going to be what?
Being submissive. Is that Lil Tracy?
Yes, it is.
Hello,
Tracy.
back in this thing.
Happy Saturday.
So before we get started, how do you feel about being back? I know we took a sabbatical. Did I say that right?
Yeah, sabbatical.
How do you feel about being back?
I actually feel good about being back. That I feel like that little break was needed, and to kind of give us a chance to refresh our minds and revitalize our spirits a little bit. So I'm actually excited to be back. What about you?
I'm excited. I like stirring up mess anyway, so I just like the fact that we've been gone. It's kind of like we had a lot of episodes, like 30, 40, right? Like consistent. So it's kind of like, okay, you know, give them a chance to really digest all that. And now we're finna dump some more stuff on y'all. So let's get it.
Hope you are ready. All right. So again, today's topic is being submissive. So just to give you a little background. So we came across this topic because a friend of mine, Jasmine Patterson, you may know her. She used to be in our videos. She sent me a video of these group of guys sitting around, and the topic that was being discussed at the time was, are black women less submissive than other races or whatever? And I thought it was interesting because pretty much all of them were saying, yeah, that black women are less submissive or not as submissive as other races. But then there was this other guy who had stitched the video, giving his perspective or responding to the video of the guys talking about that topic. He was basically saying how it's not fair for you guys to sit around and say, black women are less submissive. Maybe it's just the women that you guys are trying to pursue that are less submissive, and have you asked why they're not as submissive? Could it be because of the game that you're trying to, put on them? So I thought it was interesting because, this whole idea of being submissive is very controversial when it comes to a romantic relationship. So I figured we want to get your perspective on it as well, if that's okay. So without further ado, let's introduce the first question, which is, what does being submissive mean? If you guys are watching or tuning in, please tell us what you guys think being submissive means.
And while they're doing that, could we see what Google has to say?
So Google's definition of being submissive, because I looked it up earlier. Submissive means ready to conform to the authority or will of others, meekly obedient or passive. So does that fall in line with what you think submissive means?
Monique?
She said, hey guys, where are y'all mics?
Are we not loud enough?
Can you not hear us?
Are we not loud enough? I know you hear it say in the back. You can hear him, I know you can hear it.
All right. The last couple of videos we did without mics, they could hear us.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I may need to, she said it's low. I may need to blow my mic out. Is it low to the point to where it's not going to be conducive to do the entire video, or low to the point where we just need to speak up?
Because I am very soft-spoken.
Okay, hold please. I'm going to have to, you're going to need the mic. I'm going to blow my mic out when I get to the house. Okay. Probably got pocket lint and stuff in it. Y'all give us just a moment. My cheekbones are really high. I'm sure one will be enough.
Yeah.
So while we're getting the mics ready, could y'all give us what do y'all think being submissive mean? Or what does being submissive mean to you in regards to a relationship?
Might need some new batteries.
Oh. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how low are we talking? 5, 3, or 7? Kiara's in the building. On a scale of 1 to 10, how low are we on the volume? Monique said it's a 7. I think we could speak up and make it an 8. I think we can make it an 8.
Yes.
Kira said it good to her. So yeah, we'll just speak up to make sure y'all can hear us. And I need you to come up like 3 octanes. Is that the word?
Octaves?
It's octane.
It's not. We don't have to speak up.
Yeah, we just speak up then. Monique said it's like a 7. So we just need like an 8.
Maybe if they stop playing the music.
Right. Alright, so we can speak up. So for you, what does being submissive mean?
Basically being willing to follow the lead of, being willing to follow the lead of, or to follow someone who is in a position of leadership or authority.
I think I would say the same, but I would change the word leadership. I think I would say being willing to follow not the leadership, but like whoever currently has the I don't want to use upper hand, but like whoever has the I don't know the word I'm looking for. Like to be willing to conform. I think I'm gonna just agree with Google's. Like to be willing to conform to someone else's will. It doesn't necessarily mean you're leading them. It just means they kind of introduce this concept or this idea, and you're willing to comply to it. It don't have to be like a leadership thing. It's just kind of like a, hey, I think we should save $100 a month. It's not a leadership thing. It's more like, this is a good idea. I kind of thought of it first, and you come under the tutelage of that and believe that with me, and we work together to accomplish it.
Well, if you don't consider that a leadership thing, what do you consider a leadership thing?
Leadership is like being a supervisor and having CSRs. Like that's leadership type of stuff to me.
So do you think someone can be a leader in a relationship?
Yes, in specific areas. But I think when I'm thinking leadership, it covers a lot. But in a relationship, like me doing time cards, adherence, attendance, like I have a lot of tasks. But in regards of just a relationship, just because I'm the leader in cooking, that don't mean I'm the leader in cleaning. Just because I'm the leader in finances, that doesn't mean I'm the leader in effective communication. So to me, leadership is a more overall like inclusive word. So I see that as not being the right word I want to use for a submissive. Because when you say submit, it's kind of like, oh, whatever comes out of my mouth, you have to do. Just because you're submitted to me. But you may be submissive in one area and not submissive in other areas. So do you see submissive as being an all-inclusive word or a situation-based word?
I think it's to me it's situation-based.
Yeah, me too.
But I also view leadership as that way as well. Like I don't think leadership has to be all-inclusive. I think there are certain areas you can be the leader in, or you can take the lead in.
Better. I can agree with that.
Okay.
Take the lead. Okay, great.
So yeah, that's how I see it.
Okay, I agree with that. Take the lead.
Did they even tell us what their definition of submissive was?
What do y'all think that? What is your perspective on being submissive in a relationship? That cleared up for me. Take the lead. So yeah, I can agree with that. Gotcha. I think of my OCD, ADHD kicking in with words. And also, why do y'all think do you find it hard to be submissive?
Tracy said she hears us well now.
Okay.
It must have been.
Yeah, it must have been that background noise.
Takira said, I see it as being able to take directions.
I feel like I know where the controversy comes from, but I don't wait till we get off into your questions.
Okay. But Tracy, what does being submissive mean to you? Monique, what does being submissive mean to you? Evangelist Beverly Bell Smith, hey. She said trust, communication, respect. I guess her definition of submissive, or her idea of being submissive. Let's get up into some of the questions. All right, that was the first question. All right, so the second question is, should women, because, being submissive is usually assigned to the woman to play that role in a relationship. So should women automatically submit to a man in a romantic relationship? Do you guys feel like it's more of the woman's role to play the submissive partner? And should that be automatic if so?
How do you feel about that?
I don't think it should.
What do you think the contingents should be in order for the woman to be or take the role of submissive?
Well, just for anybody in general, really, I don't think anyone should follow anyone's lead if they don't know where they're going. Let's just put that out there, yo. It's like
why are we in the car if there's no destination?
Like, we've been wandering this forest for hours.
Legit.
You know where you're going.
That perfectly said. So I can definitely agree with that.
So as it pertains to women in a relationship, I don't like how society tries to play this idea that they're automatically assigned a submissive role versus the man, when a lot of the modern man hasn't evolved to what it takes to lead a woman or to make sure they know where it is that they're going. Therefore, they can exemplify those leadership qualities, if that makes sense. So, Takira said exactly. Tracy said, well, I was just submissive to my husband who understood the connection that we both had out of respect.
So, I guess I can start here with that question. I'm pretty confident that a lot of the world's perspective on why they assign submissiveness to the female comes from a biblical orientation, because biblically it does say women submit yourselves unto your husband. Yet I don't think that they're factoring in that there's some guidelines before that's to be put into place.
That the husband has to meet?
Yes. And they kind of took that and they wore it without putting the responsibility on the guy to meet the guidelines, such as we, the husband, have to. Well, first of all, let's start with the whole diagram of it, right? First of all, this is in the Bible, so this only applies to people who believe in the Bible, right? So in this Bible, it gives guidelines or characteristics of the husband or man, which is submitting unto God. Right. So God is the first tier on this thing. Right. And then it says the man must submit himself unto God, and then the woman can submit herself unto the man, which is still, they're both submitting unto God. So there's no guidelines that the guy has that the woman don't have. There's no guidelines that the woman has that the guy doesn't have. It's just the way that the hierarchy is set up. It just talks about God, man, woman, children. That's just the family dynamic. But since they read the scripture that says, woman, submit yourself unto your husband, they took it as, oh, whatever my husband says I have to do. And once again, this only applies in the compounds of those who believe in God. So if you don't share this belief, you can really do what you want to do. But if you do share the belief in God, then there is a system. But then let's look at the system as a whole, not just, oh, I'm a woman, so I got to submit because God tells me to. Is your husband submitting unto God? Is he following his portion so that you can then follow your portion? You know what I'm saying? And I know for a fact that's why women take that and they just automatically assume I got to be submissive. But to me, it's two different versions of that. You have the biblical version and then you have the worldly version, which comes with traditions such as the man is the breadwinner, the woman falls under him, which she should make less, she should take care of the kids and all. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said, there's no point of being submissive, and I would word it just a little different, unless we both agree and understand under what guidelines are we submitting. Are we talking biblical or traditional? Because those are two different guidelines. But none of that is ever discussed. When submissive comes up, it's only, oh, you're a woman, you have to submit. Submit to what? We talking God or tradition? Because this, you can't change this. You need to read the guidelines and you need to fit the prescription for that. But this one over here, this one can easily be changed. Because women make more than men every day. Women already have establishments every day. So a lot of the things that tradition tells you to be submissive for, you automatically are disqualified because you make more than him. You already got your own house. You already got your kids. So you can't even follow that like that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's where a lot of the misinterpretation of submissive come from. And then the guys try to use it as this, I'm the man, so submit to me. But where are you going, though? So I know that's where the confusion comes in at.
Well, in regards to the biblical system of it all, is there any room for, I guess, deviation from? I don't know if I want to say deviation, but is there any circumstance where the system might be a little, I don't know the word I'm looking for. So I guess, is there, for as far as biblically speaking, is there any room for the woman to be, like, because you said it's God, man, and woman, is there any room for the woman, for it to be God, woman, and man?
Are you asking, is there any, so based on the hierarchy system of the Bible, are you asking, is there any room for the woman to change positions?
Yeah, is there ever a circumstance where that is allowed?
Okay, so the thing with it is, I feel like I'm gonna go ahead and say no, but the reason that I'm saying no is because it's not a numerical order like that. You know how we talked about there's no first place friend, second place friend, third place friend. You all are my friend in your own spot. And that's kind of how it works. The only numerical order is simply based on the fact that God created man and then took woman from man. It doesn't make her any lesser than, it just means she came third. But that third place doesn't disqualify her from being better with money, being better with making more than him, being better with effective communication. It doesn't mean she can't. It just simply means she was the third being that was made. So it's not a 1, 2, 3, and then can 3 be in front of 2 or 2 go below 3. It's just simply the order of creation was God, man, woman, children. That's the only way to even get that, right? Because that's just how it happened. So I'm going to say no. There's no way to move the woman to before the man because that's just not how they was created. But that doesn't mean there's not areas that the man have to submit to with the woman, though. Because neither one of them have authority over the other. So whenever a woman submits to a man, she's vicariously submitting to God. It's just he's the byproduct right after God. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's no need for her to move her position because you're not missing anything.
So what is your answer to the question? Should women automatically submit to a man?
No.
Okay.
The only way I would believe that a woman should automatically submit to a man is if that man is submitted unto God, which that woman would also or should also be submitted unto God. So they're really just agreeing to be submissive to what they were already submitted to together. Mm-hmm. So it's not changing anything. Therefore, the man have to, just like the Bible never talks about, the Bible tells the husband to love the wife, but it tells the wife to respect the husband. And that's just based on interpretation and how we're wired. We receive love in the matter of your wife respecting you, you automatically interpret that as, oh, she loves me. Vice versa, we can respect them all day, but if we don't show them that love, they ain't trying to hear it. Apparently God already knew that, so it's saying the same thing, just worded different based on the biological creative makeup of the two. So it isn't taking away anything. So the only way that I believe a woman should submit to man is if the man is submitted unto God, which the woman should also be submitted unto God. So they're basically agreeing to submit together to the same thing. It's not taking anything away from either one of them.
All right, so Beverly Bell Smith said, I submit to my husband. I follow him as he followed Christ. Trust, communication, and respect. Monique said, submissive to me is pretty much obeying directions. Beverly Bell Smith also said, submit to God. So she was agreeing with what you were saying. Tracy said, that's true. God is first. Beverly Bell Smith said, love your wife as Christ loved the church. Latoya's watching. Hey, Latoya.
Hey, Toya.
Beverly said, amen. She said, no. I think to the question that I asked, is there any room for it to be flipped? She also said, he must love, so he must submit to God. And she also said, amen.
Now, I would answer yes to your question if we're talking traditionally.
So let's talk traditionally.
Yeah, traditionally there is room for it to be flipped. You can do whatever.
I thought you were saying yes in terms of women automatically being.
Oh no. There's room for it to be flipped because I would say with this, with God is we're gonna do it horizontal. With God is this way. You got God, man, woman, children. But with I'm sorry. The hierarchy. God, man, woman, children, right? There's no numbers on that. But with tradition, we're going to go this way. You got man, woman, children. We can number them 1, 2, and 3. So on a horizontal traditional plane, the roles can be flipped and switched. Because traditionally, submissiveness comes off as who is taking control, who's barking out orders, who's giving the commands. So traditionally, whoever makes the most money gives the commands, right? Whoever already have the most resources, such as the house, gives the commands. You know how tradition works. So whoever that is, the woman or the man, they can flip and swap. But there's no need for flipping and swapping in that because we don't number it like that biblically. But traditionally, you can definitely flip and swap. I mean, even with tradition, children can take the lead. Like the young boy that won the Fortnite contest and he won $3 million. Your parents don't have that money, right? At that point, he now becomes financially over the parents because he just won $3 million. They didn't win it. That's his money. So he would now become number one in the financial makeup of the family, right?
You know that.
I know, but I'm saying, if I'm only looking at it traditionally, you can move stuff around like that. But biblically, no.
Men don't work.
Tradition. We talking tradition? We talking tradition. Son got to start till he get a 9 to 5. He got to fast.
That's crazy.
He got to fast, son.
That's wild.
He can't eat nothing.
So women cannot work and eat, but men can't work and eat.
You have to feed them.
That's
tradition. I'm only speaking tradition. I'm not talking Bible now. It's all tradition.
That's crazy.
If a man don't work, you got to be on the fast.
She said amen.
How you gonna work and he hungry? He weak. He can't work.
He got no energy, man. Better have a job.
We got to feed the women and children, bro.
That's crazy.
We got to feed the women and children.
Don't make this a y'all don't care about us. Please don't turn into that, man. That's funny.
We got to feed the women and children, bro.
Alright, well, the next question. Is it okay for men to submit to a woman in a romantic relationship? How do y'all feel about that? The Tracy said, that's right. He don't work, you don't eat.
How y'all expect my guy to clock in, though? Woo! That's what the video said about old dude trying to divorce his wife because she wants too much sex. But if the shoes were flipped, they'll be like, you can't push yourself upon her. You can't rape her. Like, y'all don't care about son. Son said, I'm tired out here, bro.
He said tradition. All right. So, do y'all think it's okay for a man to submit to a woman? Please, I'm interested in hearing what y'all's perspective is on that. So, how do you feel about that?
Biblically, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all the same. Traditionally, I think it'll be. It depends on the relationship because it can get real toxic.
Why do you think that's so taboo in traditional relationships?
Because of the old school software that wasn't updated. The dynamic was the man go out and work, the woman, they still have that mindset even though we both at work.
But I feel like a lot of the tradition they're pulling from are inspired from the Bible or biblical teaching. Now, granted, they've been manipulated.
Yes,
over time.
Harshly misinterpreted. But yeah,
but for the most part, it's being they're pulling from that.
Mm-hmm.
And so biblically are people not teaching that? Hey, yes, this is basically what you said. Like, yes, this is the hierarchy. That doesn't make anyone lesser.
Oh no. A lot of with all due respect, a lot of. Hold on. I have to make sure. So, a lot of it's kind of like you play for this team, but you also know what goes on in the locker room. And I don't want to tell y'all because I want us to fix this back here.
Uh-oh.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like we don't. What's happening?
You don't need to know that we messing up back here. But I have to be transparent and open and honest with y'all. Me being a minister, and I'm in a locker room, right? A lot of us are either immaturely teaching biblical concepts, but merging tradition into it, which is obscuring the original essence of Bible, and they use it to manipulate. And it doesn't mean the Bible or the words are misconstrued. It's simply the mindset of the people. It's like your kitchen knife. You use it to cut your Hop and John and cook, and it isn't causing any harm.
Oh, tell her I said thank you, Latrice.
Wow. But that same kitchen knife can be used as a murder weapon, right? And that's what happens biblically. It was made for productivity, cooking, prepping. But someone along the lines picked it up and realized I could scare you with this, and that's what happened. So, we people of the Bible, people who promote, believe, teach, and preach, come up in tradition, and we think that these are the concepts until we actually start to read them ourselves. Like, that's not in there. That's not what that means. But it's already out there now. So that's why it seems like the two are the same, but they're not. Tradition and Bible are nowhere near the same. But that's what happens when people don't really understand.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God. We'll do that.
Okay. All right. So, as far as the question, is it okay for a man to submit to a woman? LaTracy said yes if he loves her. Beverly Bell Smith says submit if he's not working. She's stuck on that working.
So maybe if he submit, he can get a meal. My boy gotta submit. Can I put a ticket in for submission, please? I need a plate so I can go put an application in to get a job.
Takira said some men are submissive, but they just don't know it. Like in the old days when the men would bring home the check and the wife would say where that money goes.
Yeah.
And even now, a lot of women are the ones over the finances in the household.
Yeah, that is a form of submission. She's right. And that's where we're saying people don't really realize what they're saying, because equally as the woman being submissive, when he come home and bring that check, that's submitting. He's submitted to the financial system that has been put into place to where he only has to give the check and she handles the bills. He's submitting to that. He's submitting to that. What do you say? Taking the lead. The woman taking the check, leading how the bills are being paid. So it's an equal submission. But like you said, it's always viewed as, oh, that's a woman-like quality, but it's really not. When you marry someone, both of y'all are submitting to each other. There's no difference in that.
Yeah. It's just strange that it's so taboo. But even like addressing the whole "if you don't work, you don't eat" thing, I think it's become to a point where it's okay for women to be in a specific position in the relationship, but if the man were in that position, he's now viewed as
less than.
So the whole "he don't work, you don't eat." What if we applied that same concept to women?
Yeah.
If they don't work, they don't.
How would you feel?
But,
our children, we can do children like this. No, we can't do that now. They can't work.
Okay.
But
no,
you get 18. At 18,
15, really.
Whatever age you can work at, your meals get cut off.
Right, but I think for women, it's more like the whole role of taking care of the home and stuff like that. That's why if you're not working, it's okay because you're already working at home, taking care of the home. But men can play that role.
Now, I would say, I do agree with that because if the woman is at home taking care of the house, legit.
No, I understand that.
But the roles could be reversed.
That's exactly my point.
The dad at home and the woman.
Now, if he's not working and he's not doing anything at home,
don't feed
him. Until he gets a job. I'm with you.
Yeah, we're not going to feed you.
I'm not going to feed you. You're not at least washing dishes when I get home.
I agree with that.
But I think, I guess that for me, it becomes taboo when, you put the idea of a stay-at-home whatever on the man, and it's like...
And you know what I just thought about? The fact that they're saying if he don't work, they're talking about going out working. They don't even assign the fact that he may be at home.
Can work at home.
Yeah,
the same way you could be. If
cleaning, cooking. Right. That's crazy.
So I think, for me, I think the world kind of needs to update its software on the idea of men being able to play the same role as traditionally assigned to women, which is if they're not working, okay, at the very least, take care of the home until you're able to find a job where you can now contribute financially, because it's acceptable for women to do that.
And it's crazy that women fought for the right to have the same working rights as the man, and they were then viewed as more than. But then when you see the man in the same light that the women was in for years, they were viewed as less than. But when y'all were in that light, no one viewed you as less than.
Right.
It's crazy.
You
just viewed you as a woman, yeah.
Right. Takira said he submitted to my hand and following my directions.
Talking about paycheck.
Amika White, I hope I'm saying it right. She said, he or she said, tell him, bro. I'm going to assume that's a he. Takira, but now there are a lot of relationships that are switching the roles. Good for them.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong. Like you said, I feel like the world needs to, first of all, separate tradition from Bible, and then update the software. And then also, I would like for them to admit that we've taught this wrong, right? Like the world needs to hear that from us who teach these things. Say, hey, I'm sorry, I had a misunderstanding, about the guidelines, and I mixed tradition in with Bible, and it's not the case. You're no lesser than your husband just because you make more than him. You're no lesser than your husband just because he's at home cooking and cleaning and taking care of the house, because you weren't viewed as less than when you did that. So how dare, what I'm saying? Like we really have to come to a point to where we can admit I was wrong in my understanding. And this version of understanding this, it doesn't take away from your biblical foundation. It actually enlightens you on it. It gives you a better perspective. It allows you a equal viewing of the male-female dynamic. And it creates a better atmosphere to have conversations like this, as opposed to seeing men as less than because he's not working. The fact that we don't even assign not working to actually working at home like you were. But when we say the woman is at home, we automatically say, oh, she's cooking, she's cleaning, she's taking care of the kids, she's doing this, she's doing that. We don't know that.
Yeah, we don't.
She may not be doing it. The man may go to work. Matter of fact, I know guys that actually do go to work and then still have to come home and clean though. So like, where his gold medal? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not right.
It's crazy how this is off topic, but just to highlight how the world always focuses on what the man is not doing. So I was chilling with my mom and my aunt last night. We was watching the show, and on the show, this guy he had reached out to this old flame of his to get to get drugs. And so when he reached out and they met up, like she was flirting with him or whatever, but he was telling her like, look, I really called you because I needed a favor. So she was like, well, I'm staying at hotel such and such for 3 days. Meet me there, and then you can ask me for my favor. Basically, like giving me sex, and then I'll help you out with whatever you need, right? So it cuts to a scene, like later on in the show, it cuts to a scene of them having sex. So as they're having sex, my aunt says, just like a man. She did.
The fact that
I was like, just like a man. What about the woman who literally gave him ultimatum?
Yeah.
Like, she literally quid pro quoed him for a favor. But you want to focus on the man?
That's
like, what about
crazy.
just like a woman? So it just highlights.
She was literally blind to the fact that this lady did that. Though. She didn't even hear that.
When I brought it up, she was like, I mean, yes, you're right. She did do that. But just like a man, to not be able to resist having sex with her just to get what he needs from her. But the woman is equally culpable in this situation. So why not, if you're going to address the man or address what the man did, why not also address what the woman does? And so that kind of highlights how the world is really
blind to the fact
to
that
only pay attention or focus on the man's actions versus also shedding light on what the woman has done as well in the situation.
That's crazy.
It's just wild to me. It's just wild.
Like, did she miss the scene? Was there a glitch in the conversation? But you know what? I really can't trip though, and I'm gonna just be totally honest. Until we started having these talk it out sessions, actually talking through the years of subliminal images and programming, a lot of this stuff I was blind to as well. Like the one we did about emotions, like I really felt empowered now to vocalize the fact that I have emotions and you're gonna respect them. Like, what do you bring to the table? Life-changing conversation for me. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't blame her, because if you are not talking it out, it's in here. And what's in here is only going to be what's been put in here or in here over the years. So I really can't blame her for that before you came along. Now, moving on, it's her job to now acknowledge, okay, I'm doing it again. But I really can't blame her for that, because I used to kind of be like that as well. That's crazy.
And then, last question is, what would it take for you to submit to your partner in a romantic relationship? So for those of you watching, what is it going to take for you if you're involved with someone romantically? What would it take for you to, whether you're a man or a woman, to submit to your partner?
What about you?
To me, just display the ability to take the lead in whatever situation that we're dealing in that moment. So whether it be finances, if you have the capability of taking care of that, managing it well to where we don't get into mine, by all means, I'm following your lead. But I'm not going to follow someone who doesn't know where they're going. I can't.
I couldn't say it better myself.
So.
Yeah, as long as you show me the ability, I have no problem with submitting. And I mean, and for me, that's what a lot of other stuff, like, you know, when they ask me to do stuff on my job, or anybody ask me to do something, I'm going to ask a lot of questions, because I have no problem with submitting as long as there's a clear direction of where I'm going. The only time that I'm going to give you some kickback is if what you just said don't make sense to me.
And I'm glad you said that, because I think a lot of women tend to be programmed to not ask those questions. Start questioning whoever it is that's trying to get you to submit. Start questioning what it is that they're trying to get you to submit to. Start questioning if they really know where it is that they're going. Because if they don't know where it is that they're going, then we need to get a compass.
We got to figure this out.
Some kind of math. We need to stop and ask
this ain't gonna work, bro.
We can't do that. Takira says, show me. So for her to submit, they would have to show her that they can lead. Beverly Bell Smith said communication. Communication of it, and that goes into the asking questions.
Yeah,
so.
I gotta figure out what's going on, bro. And you know what's crazy though, and this is a conversation I've had with my wife multiple times. And yes, my tone could definitely be a determining factor, but a lot of times when people start to question, and which I know a lot of women can agree, the reason that they don't question it is because they automatically assume that the man is gonna feel like, oh, you don't trust me, you're attacking me.
Or I'm submitting.
Yeah, Swanee has told me before, whenever she says something and I ask a question, she gets defensive sometimes because it comes off like an attack. Now, yes, my tone could definitely play a role in that, but even if my tone isn't, like I tell her, I'm genuinely just trying to understand what you're telling me so that I can then comply. Mm-hmm. If I'm asking a question and you answer it, and then I ask another question and you answer, I'm not asking to try to like beat you up. I'm legit trying to make sure that when I get in here, I can put the seatbelt on and ride. But like if I'm having to be up like this the whole time, I don't need to be in the car with you. I don't need to be in the car with you.
Tracy said, "Well, I'm a leader to my husband, so he knows where to drive." Zakira said, "I need clear direction. I say it all the time. I don't have time to guess."
Yeah. As long as I know we're going, I ain't got no problem submitting. And it really bothers me when a lot of people don't like the idea of following someone or doing something in lieu of someone else doing it. I don't take that concept because if it's something productive, you can't get mad because you didn't think of that first. Like you can't get mad because you weren't the one that, like you weren't the trailblazer of that idea. If it's something productive, then agree to it. Give them people that credit and move on with it. Like submit to it.
Yeah, Phil at work.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Philandus McNair. We was talking to him one day. He actually had an interesting idea or perspective that I never considered before. He said that no one is actually born a leader. When we're all born followers. Because everything that we learn or that we see is coming from someone else. Now, when we grow older and we take what we learn, then we can use what we learn and then use that to lead others. But no one is born a leader.
No,
like
we're all born followers. Like you have to follow something. Just like the meme I saw where it said it had two children playing and a grandmother in the background. It said, never down talk your grandparents for not knowing how to use technology because they taught you how to use this and they had a spoon in their hand. It's like, dang, you right, son. I didn't even know how to use a spoon, but then you want to talk crap about these folks not knowing how to use this $1,000 computer. Like, it makes sense for her not to know how to use this, but like, come on. So it's real humbling in that concept. Like, we're all born followers, but it's so funny, especially not to put that on what I already said, to just think about people that be so defensive. I ain't following something. Like, pipe down. Pipe down. Like,
you was a follower for the first 20
of your life. So calm down. Yeah, it's real interesting. And it really tells me a lot about people's maturity. I think it's because I have no problem with giving people credit. Like, man, I learned this from Aaron. I learned this from, my wife or my brothers and my friends. But then when I hear people always trying to, I always knew this. It was always in me. Like, how though? Like, I be, ooh, boy.
Like, bro, just give them the credit, bro. Like, just give them the credit,
get them folk. They, like, when I hear somebody be like, I always had you, we were just in me. Like,
yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, I knew that. Stop playing with me, bro. Like, it's okay.
You're not listening for having not learned it.
You actually are more than for admitting it, bro. Like, And I wonder, the me now, try to think back to wonder, like, was I ever like that? Like, was I ever not willing to give somebody theirs, though? Because if I was, that's not a good place to be in, bro. Like, it reminds me, I use the example of, how a lot of the plastic candy that you open, it has like a little slit to where you can just simply tear, right? That means somebody has already prepared, because outside that, you be doing this all day, but like, you don't throw that stuff away. You grab it, you rip it in and you enjoy it. So why can't that concept be used for something to make other things easier in your life? But when it's that stuff, you be like, no, I ain't the one cut it. So you sitting there sliding, trying to get the paper open, like, bro, you ain't got to do all that. It's a rip, bro. It's a simple rip.
Just rip it. They're trying to help you.
They're trying to help you. Wow.
We're not trying to hurt you.
Bro, it is amazing to me.
Yeah. So, for season 2, we came up with a little segment that we like to add to that we're going to add to our Talk It Out sessions, which is In a Perfect World.
She's right. That's what it is. Pride. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this segment is called "In a Perfect World." So basically, it's summing up everything that we talked about today and figuring out, well, what would a perfect world look like once we apply these concepts? So to me, in a perfect world, there's a separation between biblical practices and traditional practices. To me, in a perfect world, the idea of women being automatically submissive without requiring the man to meet certain guidelines does not exist. The idea of men being willing to submit does exist, as long as a woman is able to meet certain criteria as well. To me, that's what a perfect world to me would look like. What about you?
I can't
Disagree with that.
say anything into that. I agree.
For you guys, what do you think a perfect world will look like? In a perfect world, how would this whole idea of being submissive, pan out or play out for you guys in a romantic relationship?
I like that. In a perfect world, but it gives me, it's a blessing and a curse, because it reminds me of, how eye-opening the 4-part series of What Do You Bring to the Table was. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, dang, we getting some crap. Because we're projecting in a perfect world, these things would fly. But if we're projecting that this way, what the freak is we in then? Why are we on this side of it?
Right. Takira said, wait, repeat that. Repeat what, Takira? But Tracy said, okay. I guess okay.
Yeah. She wants you to say everything you said again, or
I said
it's a lot. It was perfect. She do know she can take her finger and move the thing back once we hit finish to catch that ball.
Well, she might want to catch it while we live.
I mean, if you want to speak, bro. Who am I, bro? Who am I?
But basically, I was saying, in a perfect world, there is a distinction between what is biblical practices and traditional beliefs or practices. And also, in a perfect world, women don't feel the need to automatically submit without requiring the man to meet specific criteria, that whether that be biblical or traditional, and also vice versa. In a perfect world, men will be willing to submit as long as the woman also meets specific criteria to lead the way in whatever is going on at the time. So
I think at some point she caught it because she said, "Oh."
All right, but this looks like a good place to end it. So this has been a great way to open up season 2. Again, thank you guys for joining us. Back for some more. Catch us again, same time, same place next week. I will be posting this on my YouTube page. So if someone wasn't able to watch the video, please direct them to my YouTube page. You can type in Aaron Tate. It's AARONTATE. You should see my face, my handsome face. And
that we don't have any pictures of.
Of course. Click on it and you'll have access to all the videos that we'll be doing going forward in any videos from season 1. So, but Tracy said good evening, group. And
do you have your book?
How is your book? Oh,
promote.
It's outside.
Hold on. Your book?
Tell them to hold on.
It's outside.
It's in my car.
You read on the way to work? Oh no, yeah. You finna go get his book. Author Aaron C. Tate.
Alright, so while we were on our break, I took the liberty of publishing a book. It's called Damage Control, if you can see it right here. It's just a book of poems, so if you're interested, it's about my experience with love and relationships and how that has had an effect on me and the people around me. So, again, if you're interested, just go to Amazon, type in Aaron C. Tate or Aaron Tate Damage Control, and you should see it pop up. This is what it looks like. It's only $10, so if you're interested, please feel free. If not, no harm done. And thank you anyway.
You want to read them in the back here?
Hold on. A little out of breath. So.
Oh.
Tracy said, "Where's Jazz tonight?" Jazz, she hasn't been able to join us lately, but she's with us in spirit. So we will tell her you said hello. Takira said, "Your fake manager." So yeah, she's my fake manager.
Okay.
She'll be giving me advice on what I need to do, but then isn't willing to help me on it. So. All right, but just to kind of read what the back cover says, as humans, we all have different experiences throughout life. What those experiences share in common, however, is their ability to influence how we choose to approach life moving forward, either to recreate the experience or to avoid ever going through it again. The latter is commonplace if we're speaking in the context of the hurt we suffer as a result of someone's actions or, too often, of our own doing. Although no one wants to constantly experience pain, sometimes we can be oblivious to the damage that we're causing to those around us when our only concern is what happens to us. This book follows the journey of a man having experienced love, the hurt that love caused, and what he does moving forward to avoid being hurt again, or at the very least minimize the damage. Damage control.
Beautiful.
So again, if that sounds like something you would be interested in, go to Amazon, type in Aaron Tate Damage Control. This is what the cover looks like. It's only $10.50 on Amazon, so you can purchase it. It should be at your home within a couple of days. Give it a quick read. It's actually a book of poems. It's not like an actual story. It's just 10 poems, so you should be interested in what the poems talk about.
So it looks like you have a blind date request. That's what we're headed.
I'm from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I was born in Columbus, but I've been raised here since I was 2 years old. So she's probably wondering why I talk like this. It's just like everybody does.
Are you insinuating that my talk is not the same as your talk?
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. I'm sure they will be insinuating it too.
You need to
So I'm just saying. Takira says, "I totally recommend it." Thank you, Takira. At least doing some promotion for me. But we're going to end it right there. Again, catch us same time, same place next week. But right now, we're going to go ahead and say goodbye to our future selves. One day, we'll look back on this and wonder why we were ever like this in the first place. And on that note, we'll holla at you. She said, "My family's from Mendenhall, Mississippi." Okay.